Steve, thank you for that stat. I did not know how old the funnel was. I kind of want to get rid of it. Welcome back to Revenue Remix Roundtable, where I bring in experts to discuss current trends or challenges and give you the insights that you need to grow. I'm Summer Poletti, your host and moderator and founder of Rise of Us, where I help founders and CEOs avoid wasting money, momentum, and reputation on growth strategies that fall flat. And today, I have joining me again, Steve and Tony. If you didn't catch them on the Bold Builders, I highly recommend. I will link it, and you will see why it's good that we have both of them here today. There's some natural synergy between what they're working on. Welcome back, gentlemen. So what we're here to talk about today is the dark funnel. Go-to-market folks sure like to be dramatic, don't they? We all know that buyers on the B2B side have been entering the sales discussion later and later and later in the journey. And I like to beat on sales folks and tell them, this is your fault for being spammy and cringy. And now people retreat because they don't want to be sold to.
Ooh, can we send more outbound? Can we send more outbound, please? More outbound.
Oh my God, yes. Oh, outbound at scale.
Question.
Yes, and then tools like Outreach and Instantly and God only knows what else just made it 10 times worse to put your spammy crap out at scale. So buyers retreat, they do research on their own, and they contact sales when the time is right for them. And AI has sped that up. And now people are kind of entering a B2B discussion when they're ready to validate and make their decision. They kind of have their short list. I think the stat is like 42% already have a vendor in mind when they start talking to salespeople. And they're kind of like, well, I have this preferred guy. And then I got to talk to these two other guys because it always takes three. And then I'm going to like make sure that I was right to like this one guy, right? And so I still see a lot of top of funnel content put out by marketing. The website is all about features and benefits. The blog is about how we're great. LinkedIn is come see us at this event. So it's all top of funnel. It's all awareness. And then sales just handles validation and decision. So there's a whole middle that's not really being addressed. Like this is a meet your buyers where they are. So the funnel is no longer happening with sales. The funnel is happening with the buyer, but like in rooms we're not invited to. So this, today is all about that.
Got to challenge the funnel, Summer. I know a lot of people, marketers love the funnel, but the funnel was originally published. You know when it was originally published? Is it, okay, I'll give you a multiple guess question. Is it in the last 25 years, the last 50 years, or the last 100? D, none of the above.
50
well, it
is
was
my guess.
published.
What was that,
I'm going
Tony?
to go with 50.
Yeah, 50 is my guess as well.
Get out.
Was when the marketing funnel was originally published. So can I share my philosophy on the funnel and how we're operating today? So
yes,
draw
please.
a line right in the middle of my face, if you will. And above the line here are all of the digital assets and other offline places where we might get to know a brand. I call that above the line. The studies from pre-COVID were that we used up to, I think it was 17 or 19 sources before engaging with a brand. Post-COVID, it's ballooned to almost 30. Now, I don't know what it is now in the land of AI because it's conversational now. But if you think about this above the line, social media broke the rules. I can jump below the line from anywhere. I can find one of Tony's social media posts. I can get an email. I can go out on a third-party website that references Landing Rabbit. I can convert from there. So up above is getting to know you. And then below the line is choosing to work with you. And you can jump the line anywhere you want. And to your point, though, sales and marketing together are missing the boat on this because you need to be everywhere your customer may be looking for you.
And one of the reasons why people were talking about funnels, and I think they still are, is that if you want to measure marketing, then you divide them like, okay, I'm doing Google Ads, I'm doing social media and so forth. And then you start like talking that, okay, why are we doing this? And then it becomes a funnel like within the marketing team, not necessarily for the actual page visitor or person who's looking for the product, but that's how the marketing teams have probably directed their attention to a wrong place and trying to justify why we're doing all these activities.
Yeah. And as a person who runs my own brand, like, I don't even know. There are some days where I feel like I've got it figured out and a good solid strategy. And then some days where I'm like, can I just go live on an island and just like not anymore?
Oh, there are
I don't
times.
even know, Tony. How do we justify what we do?
Yeah, it's hard. I think one of the moments when things changed for me personally was actually GDPR in Europe was pretty tough one for measuring anything. So basically all of a sudden you had to like have cookie banners, and it meant that
Yeah.
if you didn't know much about the funnel, then after that you didn't know, like maybe 50% of the traffic or so was clicking the
Yeah.
banner. And before that I was doing a lot of Google Ads. So I was like following the stats that, okay, who is actually coming through the site? Why did they convert and so forth? But because a lot of that data was taken away, then that kind of woke me up a bit like, okay, what do I do now? And then, yeah, from there onwards, I've kind of like started developing a bit more understanding that what is brand awareness? Is it a funnel at all? How many touch points we actually need? Are we even participating and so forth? But yeah, some of these changes, even though they've been like kind of bad for business in terms of that you don't really see the traffic, but they've kind of, yeah, then forced marketers to maybe be a bit more creative and figure out what else to do if you don't have the
Right there. I love it. I think that's going to be a perfect segue into what we had planned. And I'm going to say that we all sit here as consumers and leaders of our own brand. As a leader of my own brand, I hate what is happening. And for my clients, I hate what is happening. But as a consumer who also doesn't like spammy nonsense, guess what? I have my iPhone set to where if the number's not in my phone, it goes directly to voicemail. So
Well, we have this
I am
dilemma.
contributing to the problem.
We have a dilemma. As consumers, we want good ads and we want targeted, personalized
Mhm.
advertising. And we also want our privacy. And you can't have both.
it's annoying.
Yeah, you can't have
Like
both.
I've always like from the day one when the GDPR here in Europe started, like when it was compulsory, it just meant that our marketing was less personalized based on like you didn't know enough about the person. So kinda it has made the web less fun for people or less useful. Yeah, that's the trade-off. What Steve said, privacy
Yeah,
versus getting the best services.
I get it. I'm in California. We're behind GDPR, but it's very privacy focused. So I totally get it. So and Steve, thank you for that stat. I did not know how old the funnel was. I kind of want to get rid of it. So the real challenge, though, is that a lot of people that I talk to are frustrated. Lead gen isn't working like it used to. And a lot of the questions I get are around what is working right now. And I think everybody's figuring it out because at the end of last year, HubSpot admitted that they had a traffic apocalypse, like a 70% or more drop or something like that. Neil Patel just pointed out earlier this year that bot traffic surpassed human traffic on the web for the first time ever. And it was 51% of traffic is bots, but that's part of the challenge. So pipeline is, I don't want to say it's dropping, but it's evolving. Inbound doesn't do the same thing that it used to. I don't want to say it's not working anymore, but it works very differently. And so this is all getting really harder to explain, which makes it more difficult to tell people what's actually working. So I want to dive into that a little bit today. So let me get to the first question I had. We chit-chatted enough. Here we go. Steve, I'm going to pick on you. So you have to channel your inner spicy Irish woman, okay? Do you have one?
I got a green hat here somewhere.
Where's your avatar? Okay, let's start at the beginning. Buyers are still buying, even if the deal cycle is longer, even if the inbound leads don't look like they used to, or whatever. People are still selling stuff and companies are still growing. So, by the way, that's all I care about. But the way they're finding, vetting, and shortlisting vendors has changed dramatically. The way Gartner put it is that buyers are moving faster than sellers. And a lot of the sales and marketing teams that I see, they're kind of still operating like it's post-COVID, which it is, but they haven't really caught up to post-ChatGPT. So here's my first question to you. What does modern B2B buying look like now? And what is the clearest sign that a company is doing what Gartner said and actually trailing behind its buyers?
Well, we're all trailing behind. So the interesting thing is, instead of looking at 10 blue links and clicking on a site and deciding whether you like it or not, and then backing up and then going forward and
Mm,
going back and going forward, going back, I read a stat today or yesterday that said Google is harboring 60% of the clicks, meaning 60% of those clicks are never leaving Google. And that's because they're staying there on AI overviews and in AI mode. And that's even for people who aren't using Gemini directly.
mhm,
And so AI mode and AI overviews are sort of Google's way to say, let's see if we can get to an answer. Where Gemini is more conversational, AI overviews and mode are like, let's give the searcher the answer they're looking for. And the catch 22 for me is that if your content was difficult to surface previously, or you ignored SEO in industry parlance, or you thought you were doing okay in SEO and you really weren't because you were ignoring some of the fundamentals or some of the technical components of SEO, or you had a failed content strategy because you had
mm,
3 of your 130 articles actually ranked and drove traffic, but there was no rhyme or reason to the way your articles were built or tied together. So what we're seeing now is that your content may still quote unquote be performing because you might be quoted in an LLM, but if it
mm,
wasn't there before, odds are you're not being quoted today. So you
mhm,
need to make your content, I'm going to call it quotable. There's more to it than that. We don't have time on this podcast to dive into it, but you need to make sure that your content is quotable. And that means structuring your website technically and practically correct so that the LLMs can see, read, and index is the wrong word. They're going to throw it in a database and they're going to assign some vectors to it. And then based on a relevant search term by Tony or myself or you, they're going to tie some things together through the LLM and they're going to surface an answer. You may get a
mhm,
block quote. You may get nothing. And the
mm,
the thing is, you've got to figure out what your visibility is in this, and then you have to adjust to it. You have to optimize to it. So while many of the same tactics are in play from traditional SEO, we're rearranging the order and the priority, and some other things have bubbled up to the top that have become much more important. So when we talk about B2B sales, it used to be I'd click on a blue link, I'd find something that made sense, I'd kick around your website. Now, what I'm doing is if your website doesn't show up, I'm having a conversation with a robot, and that robot is helping me distill down this idea that I have about what I should go buy or what I should do. We're placing an inordinate amount of trust in the robots. If it's a topic we're comfortable with, we can call BS on the robots. But if we're not so comfortable in the topic, oh, the robot can pull the wool over our eyes like you wouldn't believe. So we're in a tough spot. So B2B marketers are no longer fielding people that have directly been on their website or have read that landing page that's about the X32. We are now on the back end of a robot, and the people, we as users, what we have to do is we have to grab that information and we have to figure out which website it was supposed to have come from. And we have to go there and we have to choose to fill out a form somewhere in our research and decision making process.
Yeah, and
oh my God, there's so much there.
the key difference, what Steve is explaining is that previously we had 10 links to choose from, and Google's kind of primary task was to serve the best possible links every time. Otherwise, we wouldn't go back. We would choose another search engine if there is one available. We would find the information one way or another. So that was kind of Google's sort of like the key thing to link us somewhere. But right now, their key KPI for sure will be how long people are going to spend time with them. Can they already build something for the user, or is the user going to be then sent somewhere else? So I think that's a huge difference. Like when you think about marketing and what type of content you need to share. Right now, we are seeing, for example, Claude building new capabilities this week launched, or last week they launched a Claude designer, which is like attack against Figma. So if you're in Figma's
Mm,
marketing team right now, you're probably wondering that how do I get Claude to recommend us when they already have tools within their
mhm,
portfolio to recommend. So as a
mhm,
marketer, we're kind of like seeing new kinds of challenges when it comes to like how do we capture that audience. And then I think the second part what is very relevant is that when we think about our websites and what content there should be, if we want to get those mentions and quotes, yeah, that's great if we get a quote there, but it really matters what is actually quoted. So is it something that is going to drive sales
Mm.
for us? Is it
Yes.
actually accurate information, or is it just like we're just quoted, like, so that's also something to keep in mind, that I'm seeing a lot of marketers right now just like mass produce like 500 pages, 1000 pages with AI, hoping that they will get quoted. But the same problem as in the past with creating SEO content for the sake of SEO is that you don't actually make any money out of it. You just like get great SEO. Yeah. I think those are some
Yeah.
of like two things that are currently like very different for marketers compared to the past.
There's also a
I'm
weird
never a
disconnect.
fan of slop at scale. No.
There's also a weird disconnect we're facing right now, Summer, is that when we kicked around a website long enough, if we were curious enough, we'd actually fill out the form. And oftentimes, because we felt it was a site that we wanted to be on and had the product or service we want, we might suffer through a poorly designed form, simply to put in our email address, our name, rank, serial number, and press submit. What's happening now is it's an indirect link between what I'm seeing in the LLMs and figuring out which website I need to go to fill out a form. So
Yeah.
we're
It's
not
not
on
always
that
easy.
path. That customer journey is actually there. There's like, I don't know, it's like we have to cross a river and there's no bridge, because
Hmm.
here is where I am and what I've learned, and over here is my conversion. And we don't have a great way. Now, MCP is a way to think about this, the new commerce protocol. And Tony probably knows a bit more than I do. But the idea is that maybe that's the bridge to saying, go fill out a form on the riseobless.com. And then your form is now automated in the back end. And because the LLMs will know who you are, they can go put in
Mm-hmm.
your email address, your phone number, and what you want to talk about. However, until we figure out how to cross that river, we're sort of in this weird spot where me, as the buyer, I've got to remember, who the heck was it? Now I'm back to taking notes, or I'm copying and pasting stuff to figure out which website should I go to buy this thing, or do I have to go out and do another search for the X34 back in the search engine to find out who actually sells it?
Yeah, and also like big part of trust is that you've already visited a website, you know the branding, you know something about it. And when right now looking at like ChatGPT, Claude, it's just like very text heavy. You don't have a sense of that brand. And it's quite interesting that, are you going to remember all those names unless you already are ready to buy? If you already know those brands, are you going to remember them without any colors, any kind of like brand recognition or so? Yeah, it's a really interesting topic
No.
from marketers'
It
It's
point of
strips
view.
all
Craigslist
your
for
brand
everybody.
assets.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's a great point, Tony. You're right.
Yeah.
Missing the branding. I can't see the look and feel, so there's no recognition, there's no
Mm-mm.
recall. And I have to
Mm-mm.
think, was it that one or that one? Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're going to remember the quote if it was relevant, but you're not going to have any idea where it came from. Oh my God. Okay. That's a rabbit hole that we don't have time for today, because I want to talk about like the middle. I'm going to focus on the fact that getting discovered by AI is hard. Everybody's talking about that. But not enough people are talking about how to get recommended, how to win. You still have 40 something percent of people that come to you. They had a topic in mind. Sorry, they had a vendor or a supplier or a solution in mind already. So, like, how do we meet the buyers where they are and provide them what they need in the middle to overcome their objections, to answer their questions? Because all I care about, I don't give a crap about being quoted or found. I want to get paid, and I want my clients to get paid. So let's talk about that today. So Tony, I want to talk about you're building the pages. That's why you're here. You're building the pages that can get people paid, because we should not have things gated. Oh, your case study that has a lot of cool information, your guide, your whatever that has all your best stuff, having it gated right now is really dangerous. So you help us ungate that. You help us like, oh, we're not going to do a flyer for a one-off for this one client. Like all that stuff has to go on the website somewhere where people are validating. So from where you sit, like what's missing if the buyer eventually gets to your website? They have their conversation with their AI. Either they get there because it found them or they get there because they know you somehow. What's missing?
Yeah, one of the things that was probably missing already before AI and LLMs was that salespeople were talking something different what the marketing page was saying. So that That's always
Hmm.
been a topic, and that's why I'm building the product in the first place. Like I've been building SaaS companies for the past 15 years, and I've never felt like we're selling the same thing in meetings that we have on the website. But right now, when I'm building this product, and I can tell that, for example, this week I've had a shelf life for product documentation of like 1 day. So like I built something, I wrote a documentation, and then the next day it was already outdated because we're building so fast. So the problem hasn't never ever been a sort of like so critical for the teams that when sales is trying to sell or we're distributing content through marketing, we're sharing the message on LinkedIn, we go to Reddit forums, wherever we go to kind of distribute that message, then websites are sort of key documentation pages. It's really hard to keep up with that. And then that then leads to the AI search, back to the same problem that when your website, your core is not up to date, then the AI won't sell the best it won't find the best leads for you, but it doesn't give the accurate information when someone is asking questions. So I think that's
Mm.
one of the reasons why we're seeing customers coming to us. Most of them have great content already. Most of them are like producing content, but they are recognizing the sort of like the speed, how fast they would need to document new features, document new services that the current tools are not able to match that. I'm living that with my own tool that I'm building. I'm still struggling with the fact, and I believe that quite a few are going to struggle if they haven't already struggled. So yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. Sales and marketing need to talk to each other now more than ever. I'll leave this here and then I have another question. Like customer success and sales have the conversations with the actual users or buyers, and that natural language has to be somewhere on the website. I'm a fan of even just an FAQ. And
Right.
maybe, so how many times do you think in today's world we should be updating those FAQs with tidbits from sales and CS? Do your sales team and marketing teams actually agree on what a qualified lead looks like? Not debating it, but actually agree. And when the handoff should occur and who should nurture people who aren't buying ready? Because if any of that is unclear, that might be why your pipeline looks good, but nothing's converting. DM me on LinkedIn if that hit home a little bit.
Well, practically all the time, kind of like obviously you can't be like updating every page all the time, but as much as you can. So like when I think about like in a big picture, I think the future of if we talk about SaaS companies and tech companies, I think the old world where we were selling one sort of very focused product to a certain audience, that's over. And the future is more about like creating tools for a certain kind of ICP that you're targeting. So in my case, for
Mm,
example, I'm talking with go-to-market people and founders, and I can't see myself building this same tool for example, a decade, which was very typical in the past. And I think
mm,
that's gonna mean that you really need to step up the content and the marketing game and make sure that whenever your sort of solution develops together with your ICP, then also your all the content, not just marketing content, but all the content that you need for sales,
mm,
for support, for sales enablement, different
mm.
functions. Yeah, you need to keep developing it. So yeah, maybe not update the FAQ every day, but quite a few pages need to update every day for sure.
Yeah, so we can't set it and forget it on our websites. Okay, fine. All right, Steve. I'm scrapping the next question because I'm bored of it already, and Tony gave me an idea. So let's talk sales enablement. And apologies in advance if you know the show. I give you questions that I didn't give you in advance, and you have to answer on the fly. Sorry, not sorry. So, sales enablement. My favorite enablement tool is marketing content. I have been the highly aligned with marketing sales leader for more than a decade now because I sat in marketing once. And so I know both sides. But like what comes to mind is think of early ABM days when you had content that was made for the CFO, content that was made to win over the CEO, content that was made to feel the internal champion, make them feel cozy. We could direct where it went as the sales folks using that marketing content. But does it all have to be on the website now? And like, how do we make sure that the internal champion doesn't see the thing that's written for the CFO, which A, they can't understand, and B, probably scares them? Like, how do we, I'm still trying to figure this out. So help me figure it out.
Well, that's the common mistake. And the difference between ABM now and ABM then is that nobody sends me crap in the mail now. And if they do send it, it's to my home address. And I'm like, how did you get my home address? And that's really creepy. So it's really awkward because you can't even ask your clients. It's rude to ask your client, Tony, would you mind giving me your home address? Because many of us don't have offices or we have a PO box or just someplace we get our mail. So ABM has changed in that way. But to your point about who am I talking to, there's a great sales framework called proactive selling by the late Skip Miller. And he talks about your buyers speak 3 different languages. They call it, what is it, Spanish, Russian, and Greek, I think. But the idea is that your analysts, the people that are doing the work every day, the people that are on the lines, they speak a language of their job. Now, their management group, which might be a director or VP of marketing, they speak a different language. So the analysts are speaking, what are my CPCs? What are my CPAs? What are my bids? How's my traffic? What's going on, right? What are my keyword rankings? What am I doing here? At the management level, they're looking at how many leads did I get? How mature are they? How many went to sales? How many got kicked back? And then at the CMO level, the CMO is thinking about market share, thinking about competitors, thinking about overall growth of the organization. So we're thinking of 3 different languages, and those are really 3 different audiences for your content. And what we saw for a long time is that usually it's somebody at a junior or mid-level that's doing research for the company, and they get the content that's made for an analyst and they read it and they like it because they're an analyst, and they run into a meeting with the CMO and the VP and they say, look what I found. And they're scratching their heads going, well, what does it do for the greater good of the business? What does it do at the department level or the company level? And then we tried to make content for all 3 languages at once. And the reality is that you talk about, does all this content need to live on our website? So the answer to that question immediately is no. The key is to have the right content in the right place at the right time for the right person. And the unfortunate thing is we can't always predict that, but you need to have it prepared and need to prepare those conversations for those buyers. And it depends whether you believe that they buy up or they buy down, meaning do I have to get the CMO's attention or do I have to get the analyst's attention? That changes the behavior of what you're producing and who you're trying to attract. So ultimately you need to attract, you need to get the bears to the honeypot, right? And so what bears am I trying to get? Am I trying to get the small, medium, or large ones? And it all starts, it becomes part of that customer journey and the touch points. So you need to have the right relevant content. And more often than not, we end up writing content about ourselves and about my X34 is the coolest golf club you're ever going to buy.
No,
And if you
don't
buy
do
it,
that.
it's this and this. Instead of, it's got to be outcome focused, what it does for your golf game. You're going to hit it straight or you're going to hit it further.
Yeah.
And we don't do that enough in our own companies. We're too close to it.
Yeah. Yes. 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 Stop talking about your own stuff. No one cares. Talk about what it does for them and why it matters. Yes. Thank you.
And to that point, that should the content live on a website or not? Many customers of ours, they ask us that, hey, what should I put on the navigation? What should I have in the footer? And one of the sort of like misunderstood things is that as if all pages should somehow show on the website. So like many customers that we have, they actually create what they call sales pages for this specific need. And those are not necessarily on the actual website, on the hierarchy anywhere. They might be even hidden from Google and AI search. So like one thing to keep in mind is that you can definitely create every document on your website, and it will be very beneficial for you to do because you can then share that in every email, in every support discussion, in every discussion, but they don't need to show up and then confuse someone who's like there for the first time trying to figure out, is this good for me or not? So yeah, there's a kind of like difference between what's
That's
available, what's
perfect.
not.
Yes. So can you very quickly, for the layperson, there's the on menu, which is findable. And then there's indexed, which is Googleable or searchable. And then there's the hidden little secret pages that like only the sales team has access to.
Yeah.
Can you very quickly tell us what should be on menu, what should be hidden but available, searchable, and what should be like the super secret stuff? Like in
Yeah,
general.
yeah. It really depends on the business how far they are and so forth. Of course, when I start building my first page for any business that I work with, it's usually just a tagline on the on the page and nothing else. Maybe a CTA button. Kind of like
Mm.
it develops from there. Kind of way of thinking about, for example, navigation is that whenever I have like a group of content that feels relevant and is resonating with the audience, then I'll start like making the navigation a bit more complex. I'll add like those sort of like what questions or what use cases people have. Maybe I'll add them to the navigation, but otherwise I try to keep the navigation quite simple, and footer might have more pages. And then obviously in the sort of like sitemap, there's a bunch of pages that will be difficult to find from the site, but they still exist. They are maybe served by SEO or AI bots. And yeah, then if you have really secret secret pages, then probably they shouldn't go to the website at all. But if you have pages that they can be found if someone knows the link, then yeah, those are fine to be hidden. And you can control that in basically all content management systems. You can just tick box like, okay, is this available for search or is it not? But yeah, if it's really a secret, then maybe not put it on website at all.
Certainly. So I will spin it and ask Steve's opinion on this because this is something that I've been racking my brain on because we're all like learning like at the speed of lightning these days. So not just to have an ICP, but to have like an ideal persona within that company that you are hoping to attract with your outward facing stuff, right? And then maybe the secret pages that are non indexable are the things that we would send to the CFO when we're trying to get the deal done or something like that. Do I kind of have it right? Tell me yes.
I want to agree with you, but most of these organizations that we're working with don't have the ability to write that content in all the flavors that are needed to talk to all of the audiences. So you're talking to an HR department, you're talking to a customer service department, and you're trying to group your content around the levels of people who might be shopping.
Mhm,
Ultimately, what you want to do is you want to resonate with them when they hit the site the first time, right?
mhm.
I want to know, what problems do you solve? Who do you solve it for? And then, why should I believe you, which becomes social proof. That's my case studies, right? So this is that simplified language that can talk to anybody in that customer service department who you might want to talk to, and that's their diving off point. And maybe now you have more technical articles if you're selling a SaaS platform like Tony talked about, or if you're selling an ROI widget that your CFO or CMO might want to talk about that. So it depends on who it is from there. So you can't always have that choose your own ending. It's not that clean, unfortunately, unless you're Intel and you build the world's worst website because it's built by engineers for engineers and you can find everything and nothing at all on the website when you go through it. So it's that idea. Do you want to be a minimalist or maximalist or somewhere sort of in that middle? The middle ground's the hardest to find. Either I throw up everything I have onto the website and hope for the best, or I don't put very much up there at all. And I do like Tony's approach. Like, I start very small. I've got a landing page. And then when I have this piece and this piece and this piece, I stack them up because you can build that framework logically around the way you're either rolling out your product or you're talking to your prospect.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
smart. I like we're going to call it Tony's Way because Tony's Way lets you test it. It's like a minimal product. It's like going to market with an MVP. Your
Yeah.
website's your MVP. And
Yeah.
then your users or your buyers through their behavior are going to kind of tell you what else you need. And as long as you can spin things up quickly, you can meet your buyers where they are.
Yeah, and you don't obviously have the traffic at the start, so you can't make like data-driven decisions, but you can make data-driven decisions based on all the discussions that you're having and who you're converting from the first
Mhm,
customers and so forth. You can
mhm.
at least have an educated guess and then build on top of that. So yeah, that's yeah,
Yeah.
I like to
Talk to
kind of
your
do it
users,
in PP.
talk to your collaborators, talk to your
Yeah,
partners, give
yeah.
crap away for free in a, if you can get some feedback. I like it.
One more thing regarding the sort of like middle ground or yeah, do you have a lot of pages or less pages? Um, I'd say that it depends on the business model quite a bit, like what type of company you're running. Like in a
Sure.
very self-serve led business, you probably want everything documented. Like there's no limit. Like every page available that you're right now an automated AI bot, but in the past it was probably a some sort of a service agent, a human being serving those documents. So you want to have everything documented. Right now, when I'm building this one, I'm again building another self-serve product, and we have this sort of like AI answer engine on our website that you can ask questions. And one of the great things about it is that I obviously see what people are asking, and I can then build content based on that and
Come
constantly
on.
being so it's
Yeah.
like a like for me it's not about like how many pages are visible on the homepage because that's a different it's a marketing question and maybe explaining your product question, but then
Yes.
when someone's asking a question you want to have that page on the website so that AI can answer those questions.
And that,
Yeah.
so the point Tony's making, what we're reaching this point of critical adoption where your customer service information, your sales information, those conversations are going to be captured now by AI. And you can find those common questions and answers. So back to the FAQ, or to Tony's point about finding the gaps in your content and yours about where's the middle ground. Well, the middle ground are those questions that people are asking of your customer service team, of the bot on your website, and of your sales team in those calls. And if
Yeah.
you can surface the answers to those, you're getting closer to home plate, if you will, for that user to cross the plate and score the run.
Yes, that's what I want, closer to home plate. This is great. Okay. We scrapped almost everything that I had planned to talk about, and I think we had an even better conversation. So, yes,
Nice work, Tony.
yes, good job.
Good job,
Let's see.
Steve.
Yeah, boy.
So what I want to do, this was a lot of like AI meets marketing meets go to market meets website SEO. This was theory heavy. So for A, the listener who wants to know how the hell do I implement any of this, and B, a clip that we could put on YouTube or LinkedIn or whatever, one thing from each of you, one thing that somebody should do or review this week if how do I get found and win today is something that they care about. Tony, go first.
Yeah, I'd probably choose one of those that Steve mentioned. So meeting notes or questions from your audience. And I'd review those and ask myself that, okay, if people are asking these questions also in ChatGPT, Claude, are they going to answer something correct? And are they going to sell my service? Or are they going to divert to somewhere else? Are they going to sell someone else's service? Or even worse, is the AI bot going to tell that, oh, yeah, you don't really need that service because you can build it with Claude or ChatGPT,
Ooh,
right? So
yeah,
I'd ask myself that question and maybe start with like sales call questions or something that you already have in meeting notes or so.
I love it. And
Right.
by the way, I'm putting this in here for my own notes. We're going to have a build versus buy discussion very soon. So, Steve, why don't you go? One thing they can review or do right now if they care about what we
So
just talked
what
about.
they should do, what people should do right now in the world we live in, first of all, use the tools, but don't put blind faith in the tools. I
Mm,
love some SEMrush. I love some Bright Edge. I love Conductor. I love Ahrefs. I love Wake. I love a lot of these tools. But at this point in time, given how little the LLMs are actually sharing back with the platforms, there's a guessing game going on. We're learning how they crawl. We're learning how they retrieve data. We're learning how they build data. So what I want people to do, and they can reach out to me and I'm happy to share with them. We built a list. Build your own sample prompts and
mm,
build those prompts to plug in not just your brand name, build in products or questions, use a tool like SEMrush to go figure out what questions people are commonly asking about not just your brand, but your competitors' brands. And then build out a series of prompts that you run through on each of, I'll call them the core LLMs, but pick your favorites, but don't change the prompt. Use the same prompt across each one and start keeping score of where you show up and what's said about you. And then go back and make changes and go back and check the score in another month. Do this on a monthly basis. Check your scores. Yes, you can use the tools and the platforms to do some of this, but trust your own eyes. If you need help understanding your AI visibility, reach out to me. I'm happy to help, because it's actually early days in the land of AI visibility. I don't know what to fix if I don't know what's wrong. And so if we're guessing at what content we should produce or guessing at what gaps we should fill with Tony's great tool, then we're still guessing. So use data to help you identify and fill those gaps.
Yes. And you stole the thing that in my head I was going to tell people to review, so I'm just going to add to it. Yes, do the prompt. I call it role playing. It's my sales background.
That's great.
Log out of your Claude, log out of your ChatGPT so that it's not using your history, because then it's cheating, and use a new chat each time so that it's not getting like the back data. That's my hack for getting it right. Or
great idea.
Honest? I don't know.
No, you take away some
it works. It's really eye-opening.
You take away some of the personalization. And if you're code happy, write it in Python instead and use the APIs. Put your prompts into a Python script and send the Python script against the LLMs and filter the results that way, because all the personalization will be gone.
Yeah, in my world, Python's a thing that crawls in the ground in the dirt, and it scares me. So yeah, no, but okay. Oh boy, guys, this was really fun. I enjoyed the back and forth. I enjoyed mostly going off script, and I always enjoy educating the audience. So thank you for your time again. I will link you both in the show notes so that folks can find you. And for those of you listening in the gym or the car, I appreciate you too, and I will see you all next week.